But yeah, so you can get this everywhere, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and so on. But it deals a lot with business, and it talks about some of the stories and things that I've told you about that I've accumulated over the years, and a lot of the business transactions and things that have happened, and probably even a few of the stories. Rain probably was in there somewhere, ironically, and can recall them and go, "Wait a minute, I was there for that story." But it's doing pretty well. So I get to speak all around the world. I've spoken in Monaco, Moscow, Mazatlan, all over Mexico, and even places that don't start with M. But I enjoy. I speak on a variety of topics, everything from again development to logistics, business development. We help countries. I was just talking about. There's a country we're gonna. I had a call today before I came. There's a country that we're helping with some of our members to develop a brand new port for that country, which will really create a huge synergy for further development for it. It's a small Latin American country, and we've helped ports in Malta. We've done energy projects, just things all over the world. We've really done some pretty cool stuff, and really proud of our organization and where we're going. So I'm going to get back though to the now today on the economy and total real estate look in a snapshot. The economy of Texas, it is the 8th largest. I love being from Texas and being here. We are in the best, most productive state right now in the country, and one of the areas in the entire world. It's funny when I travel, I will say things when people ask and they go, "Where are you from?" I obviously look pretty very American, and when you hear me speak, you can assume I'm American. But I instead of saying I'm American, I always say I'm from Texas. I'm from Texas first and American second. Because no joke, I've been like in Istanbul, I've been in Moscow and in like Cairo, and it's weird. You say you're an American, they may or may not like you. That's the truth. But you say you're a Texan, and it's funny because even if maybe they don't like Americans, they go, "Oh, Texan," and you're like, "Yeah, I'm from Texas." But then they usually go, "Are you packing?" It's like, "No, we don't always carry guns, at least not out of the country." But so Texas is great. I love being here. I've lived out in Texas and the Houston area for 30 years. Again, 8th largest economy. Our economy is bigger than like Canada, Russia, Brazil, Australia, Mexico. Our economy alone. We have a little over 30 million people here. We are the 2nd largest state, now only behind California. As you see, if Texas were its own country, which we can be if we want to, we would be the 40th largest country in the world. Our state is bigger than any of the countries that are in Europe. And we now have the most Fortune 500 companies in the country. We're ahead of California and New York. They left and they all moved here, and they're still coming. Elon Musk just announced X is leaving California. He's taking it to Bastrop, which is like 20 minutes outside of Austin. So it's just going to continue to stay that way. It's great to be in Texas right now. We have the most industrial jobs, just under 260,000. And then this is some of our top production items and things. Okay, next, please. Our exports, we are huge into exporting because we have these great ports here, that you're aware of. Our largest exports in the U.S. is Canada and Mexico, which we have the USMC. These are all the others that fall into place. But now let's look at Texas. Texas, similar to Mexico and Canada, but look, Mexico is heavy. Us and Mexico are just pretty much intertwined. I mean, and that makes sense, right? Texas kind of we were part of Mexico at one point, but there's heavy synergies there. Our particular chamber has great relationships with Mexico. We have an office in Guadalajara. Rain and I were just there doing great presentations. Well, hers was great, mine, but she did a great job. And we're even opening another office now in Cancun. I was just telling Zelda that we'll be launching it in December. And we have members in Mexico City and all over. Mexico is great for us, and we're great for them. So Texas' largest exporter is Mexico. Let's flip it up and see what's happening on imports. Yeah. So exports, you see we exported 486 billion, and we are the largest exporter in the United States. We beat California and New York in those ports. And we're second in imports. I think California may have us beat still there in the LA area or whatever for imports. But we're the largest exporting port, Texas is, and the 2nd largest in imports. Most of ours is petroleum products and things like that, but it still deals in the volume. Next. Again, our biggest exporter for Texas is Mexico. Canada second, biggest importer again, Mexico, Canada. If you notice, these are very similar, so that's good. We have a good equal balance trading going on with exporting and importing. Um, China, interesting enough, we import a little more than we export, and then between South Korea and Taiwan, they kind of flip out. But Texas has a very balanced exporting and importing structure. Again, good economic pillars to have. Most other states can't say anything like that, but especially can't match those numbers. So again, we have the right systematic going on. Okay, these are some of your basic things that you look at when you're getting into the economic impact, which then also are going to impact your real estate. And I am trying to go through pretty quick. At the end, if you have some Q&A, that's fine. But we have another speaker. I think he's probably better than I am. So we're getting like the warm-up guy out of the way. Okay. So your GDP, as you can see, the U.S. is just 1 to 1.5. Texas, look at that. We're double. Okay. We're twice that. Personal income, ours is about 1% high. Let's see. No, ours is about 2.5 to 3.8%. You can see the rates. You guys kind of know where the rates are if you're in real estate. We're hoping that they'll start coming down. Chances are, if we change administrations, they will. If we don't change administrations, they probably won't. And I'm not trying to be political here. That's just kind of just the view of those two administrations. We've seen one 4 years earlier. We've seen one now. I've actually been lucky enough to meet Vice President Harris and President Trump. Kind of understand their views and their ideologies, and I have my opinions. That's all they are, my opinions. So West Texas, the crude here, which Texas tea, black gold kind of helps run us, and this is some of your pricing that you're seeing. Our payroll, as you can see, we have a higher payroll here, which is good. The U.S. is farther down, 0.8 to 1, and you say, well, that's an expense. Well, yeah, but to me, I look at it means that you've got a good income here. Okay. Our payroll and stuff here is higher. It should be. We've got the Fortune 500 companies. We've got the world's largest medical center. We've got the energy capital of the world. We've got some great paying types of jobs here. You've got a great market, which converting that out to real estate, that means you've got money that can afford real estate, and you've got people that want to come here, not only domestically, but this is one of the best investment international cities still in the world. Our spending, at least it's still ticking along. Again, that inflation kind of took a bite out of that and will continue for a while. Texas population growth is continuing to grow. Others are shrinking. New York, New Jersey, California, they're hemorrhaging people because they're moving here. And our growth continues to go. We have between the Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and Austin markets, and you're going to see later in the reports here in real estate, we have the best markets for growth around the country, and they're all like right here. They're in Texas, and you can see why. We need the growth. We need the inventory, and the other places in the country don't have inventory, or it's kind of stagnant. And I won't get into detail. I'm not representing their states. They're on their own. Okay, next. So residential market, we've got about 8.2 million single family homes here in Texas. Right now, sales have started to, and this is, I didn't come up with these. I did research them. So you got to blame A&M if you don't like them. Okay. But I didn't just pull them out of the air. All right. So, but they do think sales have kind of plummeted a little bit. They're going down. We're down between about a 320, 340 average, and your median price range still there at 320, 345. They think it's going to probably hit around 340 here by year's end. So I think actually that may depend upon the administration thing that happens in November, on how, if you see a positive outlook on real estate in the markets, or if you start to see where people kind of get back into the hold as is, or I don't know. But your rentals on those are at 2,100. Your deliveries, you had a 4% growth last year, which was back at pre-COVID levels. But part of that is, I think it's because some of that was stuff that was already in the pipeline, or you had stuff that got stagnant during COVID, and then we had to have stuff that needed to be delivered. And though you do have in the situation in Texas, where because of our population growth that you saw between 1% and 2%, we need to continue to expand. Houston is a great market. The Austin area is continuing to drive stuff. If nothing else, we just owe Elon Musk the key to the state, because he's brought SpaceX, all kinds of stuff here. I think he helped make the deciding factor for Samsung, the big Samsung mammoth plant. I don't know if you're aware of it. It was built outside of Austin. It's bigger than Tesla. It's just gargantuan. So they can't build homes fast enough out around Austin. Um, Now, their comments were is that the new construction market got hammered, but as I said before, the four markets of our biggest cities, they still did positive and will continue to be positive in that trend in 2024, and that is pretty much compared to every other state's negativity. That's either losing people, losing pricing, or just have stagnant inventory, or they have extra inventory because there's no one to take them. Next, please. Your multifamily housing. Okay, so this is always key. As you guys know in real estate, sometimes depending on the housing market, when you can't get into the housing market, which is kind of what we're seeing here now because of rising interest rates, then people start hitting the multifamily, right? And interesting enough, you've got a $1,400 a month average multifamily compared to a $2,100 rental for a single family. So those numbers show you with that $700 difference why people are tending to go to the multifamilies. Now, you've got 80,000 units that were delivered. It was lower 2024 than 2023, but we think some of that too is just because of possibly borrowing. The interest rates have risen now the past couple of years, and on some of these deliverables, as you guys know, in your timeline for real estate, it's build out and development between conception, layout, permitting, and construction. This is stuff that was probably happening around COVID and just finally came online, right? So now then that stuff has, what happened is we were a couple years into the current inflation in the current market, and then you start having interest rates rise. So I think people started holding on, and so that's why now then we're not going to see as many deliverables of the multifamily because of just interest rates rising. So money's tight, money's expensive, so they're probably going to hold on a little bit to the market. In some markets, there's still going to be a necessity for them due to the demand, as I said, around Austin and things. So I think if you see the trend continue or where it may still go, I think it's going to have to be in areas like Austin, where just they keep expanding, bringing in those companies. But we did have a 2.5% of growth for the year, which is good. Again, everything in Texas, you see, even small percentages, it's still that we are continuing to grow. Everything from population to percentages to deliverables. All other states, they're slumping. Here we go. Your office space. Okay, due to COVID, I don't know. This is just my personal thoughts. I don't know if office space will ever be as it was, right? Because as you see here now, with 1.2 billion square feet of leasable space, the inventory still grew by 12 million square feet. It's at about a $30 per square foot right now rate. But I think people learned to work from home. The other companies learned that maybe it's not about having this gargantuan headquarters, and maybe it's okay to have a smaller footprint. And especially as money gets tight and you're looking, if taxes gets raised, especially in corporations, like it's being forecasted or has kind of happened, then they've got to start looking at other operational costs they can cut. And one of those good things, of course, is going to be in your facilities, your facility costs, things like that, because those are fixed costs, right? So if you can bring those fixed costs, rent, the electricity to rent it, blah blah blah, the taxes and so on, you have a better hold and a better pulse on how you're going to do. Those other things could fluctuate, but those fixed costs you could at least somewhat manage or be able to estimate. So they're looking at smaller footprints, maybe even plans, or maybe even like we saw in COVID, where you have a lot more work from home, remote working, which some people like Amazon and some of them are making people pull back in, but I think it has remained popular, and I could see it as a trend to remain that way for quite some time, if maybe always. Net absorption was negative, which is expected. Minus inventory about 1 to 2%, and then the rent is beginning to decline some again, because if you've got 12 million square feet coming back online, then you're going to get more competitive in your rates and in your office markets. And what's going to happen is your Class A, it's good, but your Class B is going to have to even get lower, right? Because you got to compete with the Class A. So you maybe even have to lower or do some other things to try to get people to go. when Class A was astronomical, Class B could step it up too, because then you just had a comparison of price. But when Class A prices are going to start climbing down, Class B's got, well, what can we do to entice them to come over? Because if they can get that space at ours, we got to figure this out. Next. On your retail market, 1.5 billion square feet leasable space, 7.5 million feet were added in retail. Your average rent, 22.18 square foot. But again, I think a lot of that was due to stuff that was in the pipeline and deliverables, because we are seeing a lot of retailers. You're still hearing it, where a lot of them are starting to do. They're closing shops. They're shutting down. They're decreasing the footprints. Again, I'm not trying to be political, whatever, but I think in the 4 years of the Trump administration, there was this optimistic view and everybody was booming and things were going. So everybody just started building. Let's go. The economy is great. Money's cheap. Let's do it. And now then they've had the reality check, because some of that stuff came online or just opened up, or they had booked it to build during that positive time, and then it came online during this inflationary time, and now it's hurt them. So now that they got to backstep, they got to cut where they can. They've got to do away with leases or kill old leases, or So you're looking at a loss in closing of, I think, a lot of small box, even some big box stores. Because another thing too is you just have the trend in consumers. I came from the shopping center industry, where at one time it was great because people would just go to the shopping mall and hang out, right? We were booming, brick and mortars, we called it. And I remember back in those days, I was at General Growth, and all of a sudden, oh no, online shopping came on, Amazon came out. We used to have conferences just trying to figure out how we were going to compete with .coms, we had no idea it would actually morph into what it is now, where everybody just orders everything online. It got 10 times worse than what we even thought it would back at that time during the shopping mall things. And now, most shopping malls, there's a huge percentage of it, well, small percentage, we'll say, that have closed. They've just become these archaic, huge mammoth things. And then their pricing gets beat out by, you get it delivered to your house. You get price comparisons on Amazon. You've got other independent stores and big boxes to compete with. It's been a challenging market for the shopping center industry. I'm glad I worked in it when I did, because that was the highlight. And then I'm glad I left when I did, because it started sloping. So net absorption down about 0.5%. Inventory, which is that's still respectable considering the rest of the markets that you've seen, and the absorption rate, say for office, and how much that hurt. It's kind of surprising that retail, which is really your ancillary items or your extra items, that's kind of a good sign that retailers have been able to predict markets, or been able to strategize to keep the net down to about 0.5%. Retail markets are expected to increase a little bit, and they're saying up to be about 2% growth statewide. I think maybe. I think right now that things will be stagnant or on hold until the election cycle is complete, because I think a lot of people are going to forecast, or they're going to pursue their perception of how the market and how the country is going to take off in the varying proposals for their economic impact. And what you all may or may not be aware of, I getting to travel around the country, or around the world rather, I get asked all the time about the economics and the politics of the U.S., because the U.S.'s economy is a driver for almost the global economy. As it goes in the U.S., as it goes in a lot of the world, it's getting less and less like that, but it still is. And in previous 1 to 2 decades, it was very much like that. And they may hate. I've known people. I would go into Saudi Arabia, and they would go. They might hate Trump, right? Just because we said whatever. But it's kind of funny. They go, "I don't like the guy, but we need him in power because he does great." And this is before this administration, because he does great economics for the country or for the world or whatever. And then and they're seeing this administration again. I'm not trying to be political and stuff, whatever. But I'm just telling you, there's as we go out and as I talk to countries, you'd be amazed at what they say, and even their views of our political leaders and our economy, and waiting to see what's going to happen here before they determine what they're going to do. And because they just know that that's going to determine their economy, period. or it's going to influence the world very heavily. Okay, next. Industrial space, 2.7 billion square feet, leasable space, inventory grew by almost 3%, which isn't surprising. Rents are averaging about 9 and a third there square foot. Your micro conditions, they're getting softer and stuff. Inventory may increase to 1.5-3%. The reason they're going to increase here and decrease though in like California and New York, New Jersey is because stuff is coming in here. You saw we are the largest exporter in the U.S. We need warehousing and industrial spaces, especially in the Houston market, because we have a lot of your global logistics guys are based in Houston. And the reason being is our port, because it's the number one export, right? Port, it's the number two import, but it's also in the Americas, it's centralized, whether you're going north or south, easy access. The other thing that makes our port great is that we have an international airport, which is just about 20, 30 miles apart. And we also then have I-10, I-45. We have rail, which takes it into Mexico, can take it up from Mexico, goes throughout. Our system is very good in Houston where it's located. So Houston is a great market for all this industrial connection, and you need the warehouses there for the products coming in and out, which makes sense. So our industrial market will continue to grow, I think, in Houston especially, which then gives Texas the big percent, but it's Houston that's driving that. Net absorption down 2%, or about 2% there for 2023. Comparable, we don't know yet 2024, but it looks like it's going to stay pretty good. And we did have an increase in the rental. Okay, go. On your rural land, so almost 143 million square or a million acres make up what you would consider the market here. That's about 83% of all land here in Texas. What they're seeing is it looks like land value, because it was getting kind of outrageous for a while. They feel like that it is leveled out, maybe even dipping down a little bit. So maybe that market has trended, and at the time it's staying stable. It's going to stay where it's at. Again, I think some of that, of course, deals with what you're seeing in the numbers comparable to what's being built out. The demand for inventories or new projects. Well, you need the land for projects. If you don't do projects, you don't need the land. Also, the money to purchase that. If money's right now, percentage rates are high for lending, well, then they're not going to borrow. So that's going to impact, obviously, your land, because you're not got new products being built. You don't have money to buy those stuff. So you guys know at this point in your careers, it's all cyclical and it all interrelates. So all these numbers make sense, and that's giving you a good forecast for what's happening. Next. That concludes my report. I told you I gave you the quick version. I gave it like it was a 30-second commercial or a game show host. Went pretty quick because I want to give our other speaker time to go. But do you guys have any questions for me? You can't let me off that easy. Yes.
Do you think the strike is going to happen in the courts, and how it's going to affect
I think they will either. I think probably, because, and you even see what's going on with Boeing and everything, and it's unfortunate because I understand the workers are getting pinched and they're feeling inflation, so they want to try to rescue that. But in this market, for the companies that have to take care of that, it's hitting them too. So I think it's going to put some stress on. But I think that the unions know it. That's why they're doing it now. So I think, unfortunately, that they might eke it out at the last minute, but I think it's probably going to happen at least for a while. They also like to do it during this time period because you're getting into holiday deliveries and in the year. So they're applying the pressure right at the best time. And should that happen, unfortunately, inflation is going to hit even higher. And I think, unfortunately, I think that could even impact the election cycles. I do like fair elections, and whether you guys want, I'm an independent, as they say. I have friends who are Democrats. I have friends who are Republicans. I like both sides having a good, strong bullpen and things. And I'd like to see, like Bill Clinton had some great economic policies. I think he did some great stuff. Obama had some good, solid stuff. Trump had some good economic policies. And I'm hitting this stuff heavily because this is a very pivotal period in election for the economies of the U.S. and the globe, and it's based on this election. So if nothing else, immigration is a big issue, but the economy, the way it's going to impact, is even more so. because we've got to get the world out of this inflationary slump. And by the U.S. doing it, it will be a domino effect and help the rest of the globe. But that particular thing will make it worse. And I do think they will apply the pressure if they don't get what they want, because they got it during holiday, during this period. They're going to get what they want, or it's going to impact them, and they know it. That's why the union's doing it. It's unfortunate, but yep.
Okay.
What else? Is that it?
Anybody? Questions?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you. I wish you a good weekend. Yeah, right, huh? No. I just make sure I didn't take much time.
Where's my computer?
Oh, well, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, bring more
Yeah,
people
okay.
in and sit. Okay, now we want to welcome Paul Gore and
Hey, welcome.
to
Grab something
present
great. Get Keller
about
something great too.
he's the
Yeah, I'm
director
really-
from Asian Chamber of Commerce. So we have a multicultural, audience here. So you will hear a lot about what's the Asian impact happen in the area. Okay, thank you. Give me that. Let me bring up.
Okay, thank you.
Give us 1 second.
That's okay.
Your presentation.
Well, while they're loading up their presentation, I'm going to use the mic because I'm not that loud. So thank you. And Reggie, you did a great job with giving the whole economic outlook for Texas. So I have the privilege of also talking about Houston. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Paul Gore. I lead the Asian Chamber of Commerce. I've been doing that for 5 years, and I was a local Estonian, but most of my career was in Los Angeles and Singapore, and now being back here. So it's really privileged to be back home for the past 10 years and seeing the growth of what Houston has. As they're loading it up, I just want to give you a little overview of the chamber, so you know what chambers of commerce are and also what they're doing here in Houston. Chambers are basically an economic aspect of a community to thrive up trade as well as facilitating the growth of that community. Our chamber has been around for about 34 years, founded in 1990, with the aspect of helping Asian-owned businesses. But it has really evolved not only just the Asian community, but those who want to do business with the Asian community, as well as those coming from overseas and using Houston as a launch pad, just to Houston, but also North America. So that's what's been our footprint here in Houston, and even more so, we're really grateful that it's a growing population, which I'm going to share once the data is loaded up on here. And even more so, Houston has a melting pot of just thriving businesses here, which our chamber is supporting. We are actually covering the whole Houston area, and that's our growth. We have about 700 businesses, both small and large corporations that we're serving in our growth. And even more so, we have a foundation as well as a chamber that's all about economic growth opportunities, networking, and even more so bringing your organization to really thrive in our Houston market. So I'm hoping that we can get this presentation loaded up, and even more so, I want to make sure that I just be mindful of your time here. So today I'm going to talk about the rise of our local community here and the growth impact that we have in Texas. Do you want me to just, okay, I can just do it. All right, so I just talked to you about our footprint here, and this is our basically celebration of our 30th at the Lone Star Flight Museum. We had former Secretary Elaine Chao being there as our keynote to really talk about and stand behind our Asian community at large here. And these are the programs that we have that support our community at large. But I'm actually here to talk about data and number. Just as you heard Reggie talk first about the Texas economy, I'm going to talk about more of the Houston Asian economy and Asian business economy here. So if I may, I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Oh, and these are our supporting sponsors as well as our partners, some of our household names, but others who are here to support because of what we're doing and our impact that we have here in Houston. Just so you know, we're about 9.3% of the population. Growing. 10 years ago, we were at 7. 40 years ago, we were at 1.8. We're higher than the US percentage, 7.3, as well as Texas, 6.5. So it's a growing aspect. The US Census classified Houston as MSA, Metropolitan Statistical Area, which is basically Harris County, Fort Bend, Montgomery, and the surrounding regions. And we're at the Houston population 7.3, right? So we make about 670,000 citizens that classified, check marked that they're Asian in our community. But even more so, Texas Demographic Center says we're going to be at 16% in the next 25 years. They speculate and they project that Houston will almost double in size to 13 million, and we would make up about 16% of that, growing. So about 2 million residents that will be classified as Asian owned here. So that's a good time to invest into Houston. And you can see that there's just a big progression of growth, not only by birth rate, but by migration. And I don't know if you've heard in the news, Houston is the second largest growth city in North America. Actually, sorry, in the US, followed by Dallas. So those are some of the things that you should see. Here's a breakdown of our community. If you are here and you don't know the region, we have 4 different counties that are very big, Fort Bend, Harris County, and Montgomery. Fort Bend is classified as the most diverse community here. In the next 25 years, it'll be at 40% Asian. So that's a big demographic numbers in what's happening. Harris will be about 19%, and then Montgomery would be at 13%. So these are the growth perspective. This is from Understanding Houston with research at Kinder Institutes, and that's what it is. Here's the breakdown of ethnicities. I don't know if you know, South Asian is the #1 demographics here in Houston, followed by Vietnamese, then Chinese, then Filipino, then Pakistani, Korean, and then Japanese. It's interesting too, because the Vietnamese community is the second largest Vietnamese community in North America, actually, followed by San Jose. So there's a big push in that. And this is the same percentage to Texas. So this follows Texas. And if you look at the national statistic, Chinese are the #1 Asian demographics here in the US. So it's an interesting aspect of how they are here residing here and doing business. The next thing is about small business. So you know what the small business numbers are. There's about 800,000 small business. Of those, 112 of them are employer-based. So if you classify SBAs, classify small business as 1 to 500 employees. That's classified as small business. They make about 99% of all of our business here. And the rest, 1%, or not even 1.4% are corporations. So you can see the big change in the things. So there's big growth. There's about 700,000 sole proprietors, so that basically have no employees, and that's perspective of what it is. And here's just the SBA's growth perspective, and you can see that as a downturn during the downturn of 2007 market crash of equities that they're doing here, and you see that it started going up until the pandemic, and then just slowing down. So you can see that Houston is a growing place of growth for lending from the SBA. So that means that equates to growth, economic growth here in Houston. And this is just the 3 counties of how they're doing for business formation, and the growth that you're seeing in 2020, and slowly is coming back. You'll see a decrease, but they're going to be increasing. And you just saw that when they were at home during the pandemic, what did they do? Start businesses, right? That's the whole aspect. So this is good that we're seeing here as an economic driving point of growth into Houston. Let me talk about the Asian community, Asian business community. We make about 19% of our employer-based business are Asian, classified as Asian-owned business. So that means almost 1 out of every 5 business here in Houston is Asian-owned. So this is the interesting demographics. Just be mindful, I am not an economist, but when I was looking at all these different data points, it really tells a story of why we've been around for 34 years and what we've been doing to that. We employ about 192,000 employees and $7 billion of payroll for the economy itself. So that's a telling number. This is all based on US Census data. Let me do a deep dive on some of the segmentations of industry. About 44% of all food and accommodations are Asian-owned restaurants and hotels. So this is a big number. These are some of the reasons why we do some of our programs, like our Restaurant Month, to help make sure our restaurant owners are striving and thriving with the rising food costs, employment, rising cost of employment, and the various challenges that they're going through, especially after the pandemic. Another sector that we have is all the real estate. The retail sector is about 36% of all retail. Commercial type of retail here is Asian owned. So this is one of the key points of why we're also very important about trade and this aspect of selling. Here's just some data points too of how the sales receipts are for the Asian, that 22,000 businesses that we're supporting. And you can see the last number is 1 million higher. So 2020 was about 27% of that, and it grew to about 32. So you can see that more people are making more money in their revenue streams. And so that's a good sign and indicator that our Asian businesses are recovering from the pandemic and also growing. Here's also a breakdown of ethnicities. This is founded by Next Street, it's funded by JP Morgan Chase. The disparity of our, I guess you say, sales receipts. So we make about $44.8 billion of sales receipt. That's how we're contributing to our economy. You can also see that there's more male-owned business, men-owned business, and women-owned business. So there's a big disparity on that perspective. But this is just our contribution of what we're doing here. And then this is just the breakdown by Houston, Texas, and then the US. Asian, if you look at the right, the green is the number of Asian businesses, 19%, followed by there's more Hispanic businesses here in Texas. And then if you look at the US, and just the different disparities of percentage of business that are Caucasian owned, and then Hispanic owned, Black, and Asian. So this is interesting things of growth, of why the importance of what we're doing here in Houston. One fun fact, this is McKinsey data based on US Census. Out of every 6 Asian adults that's running around, one of them is gonna be doing business. That's an interesting telling piece. That's higher than the national average at 8.4. Of those, 25% of them are going to employ one or more people in their business. So this is a telling piece of how we're looking to grow and employ people because of growth, and how we're also an economic driver to support our economy. And this is why we're also in business of the chamber and helping small business here. Let me just go over some aspect of foreign trade, because we're going to talk a little bit about Houston. That's what we're known for here at the Asian Chamber. There's about 12,000 companies here that are exporting, that have specific operations for export. As you know, Houston is the #1 aspect of exports in the US, and I'll show you data on that growth. There's about 1,700 foreign firms here that have distribution centers or offices for that. And of those, there's 150 different companies that are foreign companies that have set up either local headquarters or subsidiary into the Houston market. So that's a telling piece of just the investment they have from the foreign companies here. Here's a piece here of export. As I told you that Houston is the #1. They just surpassed New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. $191 billion of good is going out just to the different countries around the world. So it's a telling piece of why it's very strategic for businesses to have their presence here. Houston port is very important. I know Reggie had talked about the port. China is actually the #1 by I guess you could say monetary, right, of exports, followed by Mexico, and then you have South Korea and Japan, and down the #4, #5. But metric tons, China's #3. Metric tons coming out for Japan and Korea. It's interesting too, because I don't know, you've been hearing the news, there might be a possible strike at the port. And that's going to be really telling and crippling our economy. So we're just hoping that they would settle, and that won't be the case. That would happen if they were to strike. It would be October 1st. So some of your container ship may be stuck into the ports. And that's a big thing that's going to really affect our economy, at least slow down some of the things that are transporting here. So we're just hoping that they would settle and that we can not have this thing that's going on. But here's an interesting thing. Asia is the #1 trade region to Houston. There's more exports going out to import, so that's a good thing. But this is strategic for Houston's economy. About $76 billion of goods are going out, and about 54 billions are coming in. So we are consumers of the Asian countries, but we're also a big exporter of that in this realm. And then here's just the breakdown of trade partners. Mexico is actually #1. This is from GHP's 2023 report, and China's #2, but all of them are increasing. Then you have South Korea, India, Japan, Singapore, Taiwan, going down the list of just the amount of trade dollars that we're doing here with the port of Houston, or with Houston either going through the port or the airport. And then this is just an aspect of China. I just want to talk a little bit briefly about China, just because they're #2 trade partners. You can see here just what the growth perspectives from 2013 to 2020 is almost a 10-year growth. You can see it's growing, more imports as well. We're importing more as well as exporting, but this is a big, strong trade partner that we have. And here's just some of the commodities, things that they're buying or importing, so that we're buying from them: machineries, industry things, toys, iron, organic chemicals, furniture, bedding. Those are some of the value dollars that we have. And we're exporting more like petroleum, gas, plastics, chemicals, cereals. This is what's going out that China's buying from our ports and from our airport system. So it's a very strategic partnership that we have specifically for China. Some more things. I'm just gonna read some of these things for the economic health, so you know. In 2022, because that's the most recent data that we have, they haven't published the 2023 data, but 145 jobs were created. This is the second best year in this perspective. HAR recorded that there's 117,000 properties that were closed. That's either office single building, multi-family, townhomes, condo, high rises. That's about 4 minutes and 4.4 minutes of every transaction happening throughout the whole year, if you calculate and divide it by the number of hours that they have. Another indicator of growth is 310,000 cars were sold. This is the highest volume since 2015. And then the permits, the 7.9, almost $8 billion of permits were given out. So that's an interesting aspect of growth and perspective of and why it's good to really invest in seeing this here in Houston. Our GDP, I know y'all talked about Texas GDP, but let me just talk about a little bit about Houston. Our GDP is about $537 billion. We're the 7th largest economic, I guess you could say MSA. If we were a state, we'll be the number 15 state, behind Virginia and Michigan, but ahead of Maryland and Colorado. So this is just the value of a city. And if we were a country, we would be the 25th country, behind Sweden and Belgium, ahead of Thailand and Ireland, according to our GDP. So this is a big economic indicator of growth of the quote unquote 4th largest city in I would say in North America, right? Well, actually no, because Mexico, we're not counting Mexico, but in the US, right? So this is an interesting indicator. Couple more things, and I'll close it with this. These are some international projects that we know about, that we've been hearing. This is according from GHP. There's a Singapore-based ACE recycling company that's battery recycling. They're creating 100 jobs and $150 billion of economic investments here. Daikin, I don't know if you know Daikin. Daikin is an HVAC company. They're committing now $40 billion of investment and 200 jobs. So this is something that we have seen. Hughes Steel from South Korea is building a manufacturing for oil fine tubular goods. So they're creating 101 jobs, as well as $122 million investment. And two more I want to just kind of say, and forgive me for this fonts here, but semiconductors, they're a part of a Japanese chemical company. They're doing semiconductor processing chemical plants here. They're investing $200 million and creating 50 jobs. And Toshiba, which you already know, Japanese company here, $100 million in heavy machinery, heavy equipment machineries. And they're going to keep about 1,000 or 1,100 jobs here in that perspective. So this is some of the economic things here. I'm about finished here, but I have one more question or statement or things to help you understand just the whole Asian demographics that we're talking about. And here's the question. Do you know what the 4 largest countries by population in the world are? I heard China. Okay, and next, India. What's number 3? Nope. Population. Excuse me? Indonesia is number 4. What's number 3? Nope, not Pakistan. Nope, not Mexico. So I'll give it to you. It's the U.S. So let me give you some perspective, okay? And I'll illustrate why I'm telling you this. India and China are neck to neck, 1.4 billion with the big B, right? There's a lot of mouths to feed in those two countries, 1.4 billion. US is only 330 million. Indonesia is only 270 million. If you put China and India together, they make about 37%. Let me just look here. I have it here. 37% of the world's population is just those two countries. Let me give you the perspective of those two. And then actually, there's only 7 countries that make 50% of the world's population in these 7 countries. China, India, US, Indonesia, and Pakistan, Brazil, and Nigeria, right? 7. Asia is about 44 billion in population total. Why I'm telling you this story, if you put just all the countries in Africa together, calculate the whole continent of Africa, India or China is bigger at 1.4, right? Africa's is only 1.3%, 1.3 billion. Why I'm telling you this? You're gonna see in the next 30 years, I don't have the slide here, but I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you. Pew Research says in the next 30 years, you're gonna see a demographic change that the Asian population will surpass the Hispanic population as the largest immigrant group in North America, or in actually in the US, right, in the US. So I'm telling a lot of my supporters, my sponsors or my businesses, start building relations with the Asian community. Not only by just small businesses, but just by a consumer standpoint. The Asian community is about 1.7 trillion in buying power. That's a big buying power number just for this, well, quote unquote, 7% of the US population. So it's just a telling piece of why the chamber is here, the economic piece of why it's a valuable partner in Houston. And I hope what I've shared with you illustrates the growing perspective of Houston, but even more so, a telling piece of story of why we've been here and what we're doing to help. So welcome to Houston if you're not here from Houston. And Josie, thank you so much for allowing me to come here and have a dialogue and a story to tell. Thank you.
Do you have any question? Okay, now it's my time. Okay, it's very good to see everybody here, but I would like to share with you what's going on, why you are here. Okay, let me put my stuff together here. Can you go? So later we will have a short break, and then we have a fun time in our kitchen, in our restaurant to have a dinner together. Sorry. This. I want to share with you today. You are here for looking at the Do you know where you are at? Katy Asian Town. I think lots of you might not knowing what's going on, which part of Houston it is, right? So let me show you where's that. Metropolitan. Come on. Are you saying Irvine is not LA? Partial, right? Come on. I just need to have this to show you guys. Can you bring my mouse here? Yeah. Okay. This is the West Gateway of Houston Greater Houston. We are just located at Highway 99 and I-10, intercontinental I-10 anyway. The I-10. I-10 actually is the world largest highway. And right now I want to share with you here, this is what I want to share with you. Actually, Houston. Sorry, without mouse, I don't know how to use it. Do you have the same problem without mouse? I want to share a little bit about this project, and then I let you guys to have something to eat real quick. So bear with me, okay? Because I have a trouble to look at my stuff here. Huh? Where is that? Okay. Okay, this is where we are at. Okay, this map is easier to understand here. This is Houston downtown, and then this is the West Gateway of Houston. Actually, we are only 2 hours away from Austin, and 1 hour away from College Station, which is the Texas A&M's location, and Tesla's new distribution warehouse actually is not too far away from here, about 10 minutes away. And then we are having, because if you look at Houston, this is the left corner. I mean, the west side actually is the most promising than east side. And also for Asian country, for example, Taiwan and Japan, we all have a direct flight. So you only need to fly 2 hours more, then you can enjoy probably like two-thirds or half of the living index. That's why we have a lot of immigrants migrants move from California to Houston. And I want to share with you this particular location called University Center. We also call Katy Asian Town a marketplace. This is the overall look. If you look at this area, we actually having two colleges to anchor here. And I also want to, kind of promote one of my sales here. We have one 3 units, 3 commercial units, fully leased for 3.5 million. Cap rate is 6.2%. So if you have any investor, welcome to take it. And this, I start working on this project from ground up, but I am not the developer. I am the one of the concept, mastermind here, and I'm also the key promoter and master broker of this project. Right now, if you have your cell phone with you, you can literally search what is my what is the Google review of a KD Asian town. I am focusing more on how to market this place. So actually, right now, KD Asian town have a 4.7 star, and then with 3,900 reviews. So very strong. And what I'm doing here is very interesting. Now I'm this center's HOA president, and I'm also one of the largest, principal here. And right now you can see this one. You have a lot of small dots here. All of the dots here represent my project. So I want to share with you my project, including retail, and also including the office building, including the condo project, and there's there's a boutique apartment, and independent living is coming along. So what I'm doing is a mixed use concept. And honestly, I want to have this one as a model of a multicultural lifestyle center, because I have been in the States for 32 years. What I experience is, when I'm getting older, I still miss my lifestyle of like a urban living. So for this type of urban living, you can see we can literally walk to eat, walk to shop. So, and also we create a lot of opportunity to bring Asian brand to the United States. So this is one of our model, and this is rare find. If you go to any type of Chinatown and any type of Korean town or Japanese town, either, I know Japanese town in LA, they are plain one, but most of the Chinatown, they are organic. They are starting like a 20 years ago. Then you have a shopping center. Next one have another shopping center. Then we have another shopping center, because we start together. But those are no plan. And this is well planned. Okay. And like what I say, I'm not working as a listing agent only. I'm working to collaborate everybody together. And right now, my control for this section, the whole thing here is about 30 acres. And what I'm looking at is we want to have a duplication of this type of project in different states to host Generation X, just like me. Because me, I cannot go back to Asia for my retirement, because my kids, my family is here. But in the meantime, we also assist a lot of brands to come to the States. Because if we are going through if we are going through this type of like a master plan, so we want to have a more of you to get understanding what's going on here. And then also for my project currently, we have a lot of opportunity to ask you to help to make money for you. So I want to share with you, this is the trend we are creating. That's why I'm with EXP. I joined EXP because they have a big network. And I have my EXP leaders here to share with me why we need to come together. But in the meantime, I want to share with you, we are planning 2 more projects here. If you have a very strong, for example, supermarket, big brand, they want to expand here, we were more than happy to share with you our back-end resource to help them to succeed in the United States. Okay, me or my team, we want to become like an ambassador, bridge for the Asian culture and US culture, because I know Asian culture. I know US culture. So I think this is a very good win-win circle. In the same time, I want to invite more of the investor to be part of it. So if you have an interest about that, please contact me, add my contact. But you are looking around this area, we are creating a lot of shared economy. And this is going to help all the multicultural immigrants to doing business for yourself, not by yourself. Okay, so this is my goal, and this is my vision, and this is my mission, and I hope you can be one of them. Thank you so much. Okay. And can I introduce Keith? Can you tell me how you guys can support me? We are going to go different state to work together. Yes. You come here to talk. You know, he's yes.
I'm sending you a message, love notes from back there.
Really?
While you're talking. I mean, nobody knows.
No.
Hi, I'm Keith.
Yes,
Oh.
talk about why.
Why am I Keith? Well, okay, I live in Birmingham, Alabama. In November of this year, we'll celebrate 4 years of EXP Commercial. And when we came to EXP Commercial, I was their first licensee, and I brought my team with me from the franchises I had. The reason I came was at that time there were 38,000 residential agents in EXP Realty, and they were in 11 countries. And I said, "Oh my, that's a great referral source right there." And there's not any other commercial company that has that on the planet. Seriously. Today, there's about 88,000 of them in 24 countries, counting the US. That's a huge referral source. And it works. If they know about you, they'll send you the business. If they know to ask their client what they do for a living, because most of them don't even know what their clients do for a living, which is amazing to me. But once they know, it's a fantastic thing. So what she was saying was, it's the network inside the EXP World Holdings Corporation. You know, they're the parent company, and there's us and them and a couple of other companies underneath, and we're publicly traded. So there's so much going on with EXP Commercial, and a lot of us are part of CCIM as well, and there are CCIM guests here, which is great because we're all having CCIM meetings downtown starting tomorrow morning for the next 4 or 5 days. But what I just sent her on text was the #1 lady in our company who has a database of all retailers that exist, and she's got them subdivided in many categories, and you need to reach out to her
Okay.
for that grocer that you need.
All right.
You need to meet her. She will bring them to your development. Yes.
We have 2 more we are planning on, and here's one of my business partners.
Which
Sean.
one's?
Sean.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
She talks enough for everybody.
Yeah, he is a very powerful retail broker here. So I'm so proud to be partner with him, but I'm trying to see if he will be real team together. All right. Okay. So by the way, like what I say to you, by the end of this year, I will start to travel in Asia. So I'm more than happy to go to Japan to meet you guys if you want to bring somebody here. Okay. And I'm more than happy because I'm Taiwanese. I'm more than happy to stay in Taiwan, and then I can connect with China, India, or Vietnam. I'm more than happy to do that because I am not only an agent. I'm the one who have a track record here. And I want to help all our agents grow because agent, sometimes we are taxi driver. Once we have our own pipeline, we can have a non-stop working, and then we can become a real group. And this is what I'm looking at. winning circle. I'm looking at the winning circle. I'm not looking at, okay, I compete with you. Hey, like a ABC store want to get a representation, or like and you get a better like a representation term, and we fight with each other. We have a project. We drive the power, and we drive the, especially, I'm sorry, if you are a minority here, non-Asian, there's a lot of minority here. I'm so proud. So if you are a minority here, I want to share with you. You know what? I want to bring my Asian influence in front of you, because we got a great food. We got a great culture. We always need to overprove our effort. And if you have a partner, if you have an Asian partner, you have to be proud of it, because Asian partner works 7 days a week. Never say, hey, it's my next time. Why you call me? After 5, I pick up the phone. And we are here for our American dream. And we want to help everybody to get their American dream come through. We are not only showing people about the location. We are not only showing people, hey, which one is better. We are doing, we want to show people the best we can do to help you to grow. Okay? So, any question about my Katie Asian Town? Any chance you like to collaborate, co-op with me, please let me know. I'm looking for partners, because we have tens million, hundreds million project we can work together with all these hands here. Okay? Yeah. So Daniel, do you have something to check? No. This guy is the one who brought me into this. No, brought me into EXP. This guy is trying to create a legacy for our generation, our young generations. He got a very good family. He doesn't need to work, but he worked over and over to help all of us. Without their support, I dare to call this meeting. So I want to introduce you, Daniel Ying, my brother here.
Thank you, Josie. I'm going to make it short. I mean, really, what we're creating together is, a partnership, right? And typically you have independent brokers, you have franchises, and nothing wrong with that. As long as the company, especially when you become a broker, you're trying to create a culture, and there's nothing wrong. When Glenn Sanford, our founder of the company back in 2009, he was trying to find a solution, and the solution was able to cut the brick and mortar expenses, right? We all know that real estate companies, especially brokers, especially when you buy a franchise, they want you to open a brick and mortar. So for him to create a software, because EXP is a tech company, and when he created a software to move operations, move training, move support into the cloud, that cut all the real estate brick and mortar. So I always do a math of like, imagine there's 1,000 real estate offices in Texas, $6,000 rent, 12 months, that's about what, $72 million? Agents are indirectly paying for that. But if you eliminate that brick and mortar by going cloud-based, you can share revenue. You can give stocks, ownership, equity to the agents, because agents are doing all the work, but agents don't get ownership, right? When I had my own brick and mortar, I couldn't offer equity to my agents. I couldn't give them revenue, right? Even when I bought a franchise, I had to independently own and operated. I'm stuck in my little box. I can't open in Houston unless I pay another franchise fee. I couldn't open in California unless I got my California license. With EXP being one corporate company, that allows you to grow in all markets, wherever that company is at. So currently, I think Keith mentioned we're in 24 countries. We're working on 25 countries. We hope to announce another country next month. So when I saw that, I realized we can create a entrepreneurial network of everyone coming together, just like a lot of us are in CCIM. That's a great network. So and CCIM has changed my life. Couple things. I found my business partner, Calvin Wong, back there. And because of Calvin, I found my wife. So I dedicate a lot to CCIM for that, and it's the network, right? So, our slogan, and a lot of slogans like that, but your network is your net worth. So who is in your network, right? So you got to think about who you're bringing on and building that. So we're a very collaborative group. I have about 200 and close to 250 people in the organization. It just continues to grow. We're in different markets, and it's everyone can do that. That's the beauty, because we're all in the same playing field, right? So it's up to you if you want to learn more about it, look at the opportunity, expand, and it's willable. Meaning, when God takes me home one day, my position in the company, the revenue, everything is willable to my children. So you got the legacy component. That's powerful. Because if I had my own brokerage, something happened to me tomorrow, operations shuts down. The platform, EXP, it's still operating. They have the staff. 2,000 employees are running and working for you, versus you working for the broker worked for you. So if you want to understand a little bit more in detail how everything's coming to play, let us know. I mean, Josie's a great leader. She's a great business partner. And there's a lot of us that are looking for that community. Because at the end of the day, it's about community. So we created a network called We Partners Network. Josie's a part of it. Josie's creating her UMRE network as well, and just continue to grow. So if you're looking at opportunities and just trying to well, I want to understand, I'm not here to recruit anyone. I'm here to just kind of share. And if you want to partner up, welcome. If you want to do more deals, welcome. At the end of the day, it's getting deals done, transactions, and getting things moving forward. So that's all I have to say. I think am I the last speaker?
Yes.
So it's between me and food. So help us out. Josie, any logistics going over the transitioning?
Yeah. Okay. Now I think once again, I appreciate all of your attendance, and I believe Reggie and Paul did share with us a lot of good information. Unfortunately, CCIM is not going to have an economy impact like a section for the coming days. So that's why I asked them to come over to present to all of you. I think this is wonderful information. If you need the PowerPoint, let us know. And once again, I want you to become my business partner, my equity partner, and you can lead and help your community as well. Okay, then we are ready.
We're gonna do a selfie.
We are
first.
do a
Hold on,
selfie.
we're gonna do a selfie.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hi.
All right, here we go. 1, 2. All right.
He's the best. All right. Thank you. Later on, we can start to move little by little to the next door. Next door is my business as well. It's a new journey. We are talking about share economy. You want to learn more? I got your information. In the future, I will start to sharing you. Once again, I'm creating business pipeline for every one of you. If you want to help me out to create this winning circle. All right? Let's talk later. Thank you. We got rice. We got chicken wing outside. Try it.
We'll go next door. We gotta go eat.
That was great.
Oh,
Here, this is Vincent.
hey, how are you? Daniel Lane. Yes, you too. You too. Thank you. Yes. Hey, thank you.